I strongly believe in sales through network. Every year I make a top 10 of my dream clients, and then I just start exploring my network and find ways to get in touch with the person I need to get in touch with. I strongly believe in the idea that if you're not able to share, you're not able to multiply. Be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire, and what sets my soul on fire is meeting people, being inspired by people.
Welcome to the Revenue Discussion Podcast. This podcast aims to inspire and educate the newest generation of revenue leaders on various subjects related to sales, marketing, revenue operations, and customer success. Every week, we invite an inspirational guest who is willing to share his or her insight, strategies, and tactics that have worked or are still working for him or her. Today, we've invited Jeroen Poels to the show. If you don't know who he is the founder and CEO of Deltaworx, a leading staffing agency for students. He started his journey at the age of 18 and has even been on the Forbes list 30 under 30 for social impact. And in this episode, we unpack his story. How did he find his first clients? How did that evolve? When was it time to recruit a sales team? But also, what makes a good entrepreneur good? Is failing good, or is that something to be avoided? And so much more. I hope you enjoy this one. Welcome, Jeroen. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Well, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm very glad actually to have you on the show because you have quite an inspirational story. Starting at a very young age, you own company, still actually doing it, and you have also been, I think you were the youngest CEO in the staffing industry, or named the youngest CEO. You have been called or selected Forbes 30 under 30, Forbes under 30. That's how they call it.
Yeah, the 30 under 30.
And so, yeah, I think you have a story there, but I don't want to steal your story. I will still leave you the chance to explain it. But first of all, I've also seen on your LinkedIn that you started Deltaworx on August 2012. Is that right?
Yes.
So it's about 10 years exactly.
Yeah, I founded the company exactly 10 years ago. So yeah, 10 years. What a time.
Have you had a big party already?
Well, no, I think we're gonna well, the thing is with this story, I founded a company in August 2012, but we became an actual staffing agency only in 2015. So,
okay.
yeah. So
All right. So that's why we need to start with the beginning, maybe.
yeah, so we're
Maybe,
still,
and also for the audience that doesn't know you, tell your story.
yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
to summarize quickly, I started my company when I was 18 years old, but actually started working when I was 15, doing dishes in a local event venue, and I became head waiter there and started to engage my friends to start working with me in that event location. And then after a while, 5 friends became 10, 10 became 50, 50 became 100. And then I thought, listen, maybe we can sort of structure it differently or make a company out of it. I basically just saw an opportunity to help young people to a nice student job, and that's basically how I started. But in the beginning, it was mostly, let's say, I founded the first company just to have a VAT number to invoice my clients for my own hours, not necessarily to already rent out staff or anything. That only
Gotcha.
started that only started in 2015. Yeah. So ever since
All right.
2015, we're a staffing agency for students. So basically, we hire and employ students, and then we rent them out to companies, and we do this for basically any sector or any type of student job. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you always been that entrepreneurial before 18?
Well, I suppose so. Yeah, I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family. My dad is running a 7 generation family business, and my mom has always had her own companies as well. So I think I've been stimulated um, uh, on that matter throughout my entire childhood, and I've always wanted to do something for myself on my own. And yeah, 10 years later, here we are.
Then I'm kind of interested in what's the vision of your parents regarding school?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because, to be honest, my school career was not that very successful. Basically, failed my fourth year of high school, and then um, when I was 18, I went to college and I started a study business management, but I was already working at that moment, or already founded the company, so it was very difficult for me to combine school um, with being an entrepreneur. And also at that time, 10 years ago, we didn't have special um, rules for entrepreneurs in
Hmm.
Belgium. Like nowadays, luckily they
There is
uh,
somewhat of a culture, even though it's not the US yet. We have somewhat of a
oh,
culture, right?
no, exactly. But nowadays in Belgium, for example, we get a special sort of um, how do you say it? Like
Yeah,
we just
benefits in terms of
benefits,
taxes and stuff like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, different benefit or more benefits, and more access or different access, more flexibility in terms of being able to combine your school with your work or being an entrepreneur. And 10 years ago, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So I just decided to quit. And my parents have always said like, we will always support you in anything you do, but they also said like, if you want to be a grown-up guy, then you will be a grown-up guy from begin to end. Meaning they said,
Oh,
okay, we're gonna give you another 6 months
but
of
then it's all on you.
and then it's all on you. Yeah. So to answer your question, I think they were very very supportive, but but they also have their principles. And um, uh, yeah, I had to do it on my own, which is also
Hmm.
like, it's in a way also a very good incentive. Like, if you know that in 6 months you're being completely cut off financially, then you have to work and
You
work
go look out for business. You go
hard.
look out for the sales. No,
Yeah.
definitely. That's maybe a good transition also to how you actually started out Deltaworx, because of course you saw the opportunity, but that doesn't mean that you have a concrete solution, a concrete service offering. That doesn't mean that you have also clients immediately. So how did you go and made that happen?
I think I strongly believe in sales through network. I've never been the crazy hardcore cold caller. I've always invested a lot of time. Always invested a lot of time in my network and meeting new people and trying to make connections and thinking on how to, for example, like every year I make a top 10 of my dream clients, and then I just start exploring my network and find ways to get in touch with the person I need to get in touch with. um, and if I look back at Deltaworx, our first client was also a client from within my network. It was the catering company that was catering all the events in the event venue where I started working when I was 15. So they knew me, they knew my qualities and my hard work, and they asked me like, hey, can you help us out as well with your services? And that was basically my first client. And then the second client came after that, also like when meeting, or they saw us when we were performing. And that's a bit how everything started. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you still have contact with the first client?
Well, they're not in business anymore, so I've not been in touch with them for a while. However, one of the chefs of that catering company, who is an amazing guy who taught me French. Um, Also, a funny story, was only French speaking, and my French was good but not perfect. But I spent more time with him than I think I spent time with my parents at the time. So he taught me
Oh
French,
yeah.
and I still have some. I'm still in contact with him, like on a more online base.
Hmm.
But yeah, we still have several clients from the first years that we started, and
No,
I think that
definitely.
says a lot as well.
Yeah. No, definitely. Did you when you started out, is it because, people came to you or you saw an opportunity and, you started out with one project and you thought, all right, this works fine. Maybe we can really build out a big business out of this? Or did it really happen organically? You got one project, then a second one, then a third one, and then, you started, the ball just started rolling and now what you are.
Yeah, I think a combination of both. I think, and it's with the majority of successful entrepreneurs. It's I always compare it with, it's a train that passes by, and you just need to jump the moment that you see the opportunity. I mean, a lot of people see the train but never jump. I think seeing opportunities and taking opportunities is key. Huh? Both of them are key.
Hmm.
Um,
Why do you think that people don't take that train?
Well, I think there is a lot of a fear, fear of failing, fear of thinking that they're not good enough, or yeah, or a lot of doubts. I don't know. It's
Yeah, leaving the comfort zone also.
yeah, 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 yeah. Um, no, but I think it's a combination of opportunities and hardcore entrepreneurship and seizing moments and going for it.
Hmm.
But when I started, like in the beginning, it was an opportunity. I had a lot of friends asking me, "Can you organize a nice student job?" But at the same time, I've always wanted to do more than just provide um, basic student jobs to students. I've always had the mission, also from my perspective towards the educational system, to help young people with gaining relevant work experience during their studies and figuring out together with them what they want to actually achieve the moment they graduate and enter the job market. Um,
Hmm.
so
Yeah, I think
that's
that.
always been the goal.
Yeah, and that shapes also how long you can stay and keep doing what you do.
Exactly.
What can you say about the growth of Deltaworks? Was it quite linear? Was it exponential? Was it, by increments? Or, and was it then also by design or did it just happen that way?
Yeah, nice question, and I don't think there is one true answer. I think if we're looking at the first 3 to 4 years, it was quite exponentially. So it went very fast, very big, and then um, obviously at some point you get a sort of you're stabilizing, which is not always for the entrepreneur, not always nice, but it happens. And now now we are again um, not getting in like hyper growth, but we're now since 2 years we're back in an in a pretty high pace of
Yeah,
growth again. Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I will have some questions regarding that later. But maybe before we go there, I also want to know when you had to grow the company, I can imagine you had to start recruiting people.
Hmm.
And that was probably one of the biggest milestone you may had in your entrepreneurial journey. But then, what was the first person or type of function that you recruited for, and when was sales in the picture?
Yeah, so in terms of internal hiring, the first people I hired were zero. Um, there was no massive big plan behind. So we Deltaworx started off as a staffing agency for students, but also specialized within the event and hospitality industry. And
Hmm.
the company started with basically me being a head waiter or an event manager, um, going to events and also taking crew with me or staff with me. So the first people that I hired were basically just other event managers, so we could
Hmm.
double, triple the amount of
The
events.
operational
Yeah,
activities.
exactly. Um, the cool thing is that out of those first people that I hired 10 years ago, two of them are still in the company in very different uh,
Awesome.
positions. One of them is our CFO and head of legal, and the other one is our brand and marketing manager. So they grew with the company the same way I grew with the company, which is pretty cool. And then to answer um, your second question, when sales started to become a thing, that's also something interesting because only since, let's say, 2 years ago, or maybe not even 2 years ago, so let's say in the last 24 months or something, we really started to set up a dedicated business development team with um,
Okay.
that started off with hiring a VP sales, and then hiring BDs. Um,
Hmm.
uh,
That's
and,
super interesting.
yeah, and before that, I was the only one in the company that was busy working on sales. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I can see also now the two different phases, or at least the two distinctive growth phases, where you had that
yeah,
first exponential growth you could take on yourself, then you had that little stagnation there, and now you want to go back on that high growth, and you have now that new sales team ready to make and scale that business.
yeah,
Very
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah, we
So
went from in 12 months we went from a team of 9 people to over 30, and from zero sales, a sales team of 0 people, so only founder sales, to now a team of four. So 4 people that are just 24/7 doing nothing else than hardcore prospecting and cold calling and sales. Yeah.
was it easy for you and maybe also for clients to, you know, change the point of contact? Was it easy for you to let other people be in contact with the clients? And for the clients, was it also okay to not be in contact with you anymore
It's
or
that's it.
less in contact maybe?
It's a good. Also, you're asking very good questions. The it was um for some clients where I had a very personal connection with up until today, they still call me, and it's better now than it was, for example, 6 months ago. But we're working on it. But don't forget, I love being in touch with my clients. Like for me, sales is still. I'm a sales and marketing guy. I'm not an operations guy. I'm not a finance guy. I'm not a legal guy. I'm a sales and marketing dude, and I really love the hunt and love the process, and being in touch with clients is one of the things that I love doing the most. So um, it's not necessarily something that I quit completely. But I have to admit that in the beginning I was a bit anxious and also not very much convinced that um, someone else than the founder, and in this case me, myself, and I, of course, were able to sign also big contracts and big clients. But my team has been extremely successful and proved me wrong multiple times um, that they are capable, and they've been working very hard and have been very successful in their approach and in what they do and how they do it. So yeah.
Yeah, lovely. So what is then now your, you know, your role towards the revenue team, the, you know, towards the marketing and sales people? What, how do you try to find your place in that position now?
Well, unfortunately, I'm still very busy with operations and day-to-day management, which
Did
is,
you say unfortunately?
yeah, I say unfortunately because I hope that in the next 12 months I will be able to take a step back in terms of the day-to-day operations, because I believe that every minute that I have to invest in day-to-day operations is time that I'm not investing in stuff that um, is is better for the company. Also, I think there are just better people than me to lead the day-to-day operations.
Hmm.
But if we, because we are in a sales podcast, of course. So if we talk specifically About my role within the sales team, I'm still pretty active in terms of prospecting and doing client meetings and signing new clients. However, I'm more focused on the big fish, and so sales processes that take
The
longer.
real hunter.
And there it is. Obviously, it's a big advantage that it's the CEO and founder approaching them.
I can see that.
Yeah,
And so, when you look now at that new growth phase that you wanna make happen, and you have started. I mean, you have recruited a team for that also. But what was for there? I mean, what was there the most important step you had to take towards that new growth? I mean, I can imagine recruiting a team was important, but did you also had to define your sales process, or did you hire someone to really put the right places in? I mean, the right pieces in the right place.
yeah. Well, if you talk to um, if you talk with a lot of people, and I remember from, for example, the We Are Sales conference, that it was a question on the hyper growth panel that I was moderating.
Moderating.
Like, who is your first hire going to be? Um, and you get a lot of different answers depending also on views or perspectives or type of companies as well. Well, like me, for example, I decided to hire first a VP sales before hiring um, the BDs, and it was basically because there was no sales process in the company. It was for 7 years. It was just me doing sales,
Hmm.
period. And I had my own process, which was in my head, but we
Did you even
started.
use a CRM back
No,
then?
no, we didn't have anything like that, and we I tried it a couple of times in the years before, and then I was too lazy to track everything, and then I stopped.
Hmm.
And you know, like I mean, I think a lot of people or a lot of founders, if they will be watching this, they will understand. Like, yeah, exactly, it's shit if you have your own thing that is working.
Yeah,
And
and especially when you are alone, you don't have to be accountable. You don't have to track the metrics
exactly.
because the information should be centralized in you. So
Exactly,
I can see
and
that.
which is obviously it's stupid because it's even if you're alone, it's you better track your steps instead of not tracking because it gives you a lot of learning points. But that was one of the main reasons why I recruited a VP sales first, who was able to implement uh, a steady process and a steady funnel to then hire a team, and also that to be in charge of hiring a team. Uh,
Hmm.
mm, so yeah,
What's the relationship or the balance that you see being quite successful in terms of marketing versus sales, and how do they try to work together?
yeah, for us in our company, it's very interesting to see how marketing is being integrated in every process. What you need to know is we're a staffing agency, which means we are recruiting on one end and we're selling um, people on the other end. So we are a two-sided marketing company, which makes it very challenging.
Hmm.
It's not that we only need to invest in sales. It's also in recruitment. So we always
Yeah, you need people and you need projects.
exactly. So we have to find the balance between um, are we doing marketing for recruitment? Are we doing marketing for sales? However, if I look to the last 10 years, and it's still our how do you say that, like our ID or our strategies, we are investing almost 80% of our marketing budget into recruitment and not into sales, because we believe
Hmm.
in staffing that and not only staff, but we're an HR company, so we believe that if we take care of our employees, and they will take care of our clients, and the staffing company with the best people, they always win, and etc. etc. And the sales focus of the people that are in the sales team is enough. They don't necessarily need a backup from marketing. However, besides the recruitment marketing, the sales marketing, you also have something like the brand marketing, and that's obviously something that we're investing a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
in as well, which is obviously also contributing to getting our name out there and generating leads.
Yeah, I want to do a little transition there to another question I had, because you also have quite I could say a pretty good personal brand. And so
Mhm.
I'm kind of curious, was that on purpose? Was that again by design, or did it just happen that, you got a lot of media attention
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's again, it's not black or white. It was an opportunity 7 years ago from one of the our national newspapers, where I ended up at the front page being called or named the youngest CEO of Belgium. So that was basically by luck. It was not a choice. However, um, I see that moment as an opportunity, and I saw what the effect was of using media in your own for your own benefit, or at least um, yeah, I think you can say it that way. And from that moment on, we it was a game by design. It was something that we uh,
hmm
intentionally searched for and designed to
yeah,
maximize.
kind of a strategy,
Yeah,
and yeah.
exactly. It became part of the strategy. So basically the idea we had after that was, okay, we're gonna position Deltaworx as the number one experts in Belgium in terms of student staffing, and with me
Mm.
as the spokesperson. Um,
Yeah,
and that was
yeah.
obviously there was a process of many years. But the nice thing is that nowadays journalists and even policymakers, they find their way directly to us, and probably not so very actual for um, people outside of Belgium, but for people that are looking from within Belgium. We very recently, our prime minister declared the State of the Union, and in the State of the Union, there was a chapter around student staffing, and we influenced, or at least tried to influence, their decisions, and also
Really
that is using media.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, I think that's super interesting. And something that you said there again, you saw an opportunity and you took it. And so there I have, two thoughts with that. The first one being, do you maybe come across more opportunity than the average person, because you are maybe someone, that is a go-getter and just go everywhere, and maybe, you try to put yourself in a situation where you can get more luck. Is that true? And the other one is that it seems also to me that you say much more easily, yes, we'll do it, we'll see what it gives us, because it kind of makes sense logically, but you don't have fear coming into your way. You just go and do it.
okay, so two questions. Let's start with the last one. Am I fearless? No. But it's something that doesn't paralyze me. um, and also in terms of taking risks, I'm I'm all in taking risks, but it always has to be calculated risks. Um,
Mhm.
um, yeah, and then hold on. The first question, I can you repeat? Like, what was the other thing you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, the first question was that I mean, I have a feeling that you are someone that puts yourself in some situations where it's going to be much easier for luck to come to you,
Yeah,
for
and this is
opportunities to
yeah,
come your way.
and
And is
that
it
is
also, do you also believe that, or?
well, and that is something that I find I always find it sad when people think or say that, because the um, that's what I do believe is that you can design luck. So, but luck is not something that just comes. You know, it's something that you have to work for. It's a mindset, and uh, so I don't necessarily believe that by luck, me being me is getting more opportunities than someone else. Um, I do think that
Hmm.
me being me creates or designs more opportunities, because
Hmm.
it's the mindset that I try to live in.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Because, the thing that, I mean, I also kind of believe in is that, I like to always, of course, you give always 200% of yourself. You don't only go for the 90 or 100%, you give 200% of yourself. And sometimes you also just need to do more, to give more, to to do things for people, but you don't expect anything back, because that way you can imagine that someday things will go back your way, and that's creating new opportunities, getting more luck to you. But it's I mean, to me, it's just the mindset of I'm always going for the maximum I can give. But
yeah,
maybe you have another frame of thinking, and I'm
yeah,
kind of, yeah.
I strongly believe in the idea that if you're not able to share, you're not able to multiply. And what you see what you see a lot, like a lot, is people that are always trying to get something and never give back. And it's I'm repeating a bit what you just said, but it's I find it something very interesting. Like I try, and this is a nice a little jump to sales again. Like also in sales, don't always approach a potential prospect to only get, but also try to give. Um,
Hmm.
and I think that's something that it's something that helped me a lot. And also, um, like I think I can say I have a pretty impressive network in Belgium, and it comes from um, this way of life, or this way of approaching people. I'm very eager to learn. I'm very impressed by, um, naively impressed by a lot of people, it's also it's genuine. It's genuine
Hmm.
interest in people, and then I believe that the actual sales will follow. And if it doesn't follow, it doesn't really matter. But then maybe something else will come from it, or
Hmm.
nothing, which is also fine.
That's also fine. I
Yeah,
like that mindset.
yeah.
So maybe that's already your answer to the next question I will ask you. But if there was one thing you can say that in the past 10 years you did very well, what was that? And maybe after that you can do the reverse. If there was one thing you did very badly, you would never do again, what was that also?
Um, yeah, I think I'm just gonna repeat myself. What I did well was building a strong network. Yeah? With people that are smarter than me, better connected than me, and um, appreciated me for who I am, and also then shared the willingness to help me take the next steps. I think
Hmm.
that's something that I'm.
But that's actually already something super interesting. And sorry I'm interrupting you, because I remember when I started my entrepreneurial journey, there was that one guy, Michael Lemblay, you might know him. He has kind of a following on LinkedIn. And so I always thought, all right, I would love to be part of his network, but I'm a junior. I just come right out of school. Who am I to be part of his network? And so I didn't dare at the beginning. But then a couple of months later, I talked to someone, and that someone told me, what the hell? Just text him, just email him, and you will see if he responds or not. And then I had that one call, and then I built out a relationship with Michael, and now we are partner actually in that story. And so, were you ever afraid of approaching people, or were you not per se? Or again, it's not because you're not fearless, but it's you knew that being part of a large network was really worth for you, or?
No, I'm in there. I'm never fearless, and always like, it's a nice quote, be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. And what sets my soul on fire um, um, is meeting people, being inspired by people, um, is learning new things. Just it's what literally sets my soul on fire. So I've never been um, scared to approach someone. On the contrary, um, and I think that being young helps. So it's something that also I use it in my advantage. Um, in a couple of years maybe it won't be possible anymore, but the last 10 years I I used my young naivety, um, and turned it into a strength instead of a weakness. Um, yeah.
How do you mean that?
Well, what I mean
What
with
did you do?
yeah, what I mean with it is that unfortunately nowadays, still nowadays, a lot of young people are not getting the um, uh, not getting the platform, or uh, are not um, how do you say that, like um, are not getting the credibility that they should get, because there is an ID that you need age to
Hmm.
know stuff or be successful in stuff, and etc etc. So there are two things you can do. You can either like think like, oh my god, I'm too young, they will never allow me, or they will never help me, or they will never whatever. Or you can just turn it
Hmm.
around and say, okay, I am young, there's nothing I can do, and there's nothing I can do about it. Then just try to switch it into something that is more strength. So make them m- make it's difficult to explain. It's you can almost say that I tried to inflict the feeling of, it's um, he's cute, he's young, it's nice, he's
He's
very
driven, he's
driven,
ambitious, is
he's genuine, and I want to help him
yeah, I
instead of
get that.
yeah.
You get quite a lot of respect actually for doing that at a young age,
Yeah,
and people appreciate that.
and don't forget, like, you're gonna meet a lot of people that say no, like a lot of them, and you're gonna fail more if you're young, and stories end, and it's true. It's not uh we're not living in a fantasy dream. It's also it's getting a lot of no's, but for me, no stands for next opportunity, and if it doesn't work with person X, then I will try someone else, and
That
um,
should be the mindset.
yeah, and along your journey, you come across people that genuinely want to help you, um, and those are the first cornerstones of you building your credibility. Because if someone else that is um, already somewhere acknowledges the fact that you are also someone, then those are cornerstones, and you just continue building on those.
Hmm. No, very nice one. So to go back to one of the previous questions, I also ask, what did you do that you kind of regret in the last 10 years and you would never do again?
It's a very cliche answer, but I strongly believe that the living life with no regrets sort of thing is um, is for me still the leading answer, which doesn't mean, of course, that I made plenty mistakes. I made so many mistakes, and I made very big mistakes as well. Like, so big that in 2015 we went also almost bankrupt. So
Oh, wow.
I made massive mistakes. However, I also believe that if I would turn back time with the knowledge that I have today, going back then, I think um, again, my young spirit with the naivety I had then and the lack of experience was also at the same time an accelerator of other things.
Mm.
And I'm not sure whether um, doing things differently would have a different outcome. Do you understand what I mean? But
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you want me to name something, then I would say have invest more in or earlier invest earlier in more finance and cash flow knowledge,
yeah.
uh,
Mm.
and um, surrounding myself quicker with people that can assist and guide me in that. Yeah.
Hmm. No, those are great answers, and I definitely understand what you mean. There are multiple ways you can approach a challenge, how big the challenge can be, but at the end, you always try to surpass yourself at every moment, or at least that's, I think the mindset you should kind of have. And
Yeah.
so, if back then you did the best you could with the resource and knowledge you had back then, who could actually have any regret regarding that? So,
No,
no,
and
I definitely
there's
understand.
nothing wrong with failing, like um,
Mm-hmm.
fail for me stands for first attempt in learning. So if every fail is not a fail, it's just an attempt in learning something, then there is also no fear anymore in failing. You just need to make sure that you're able to control the damage and not fail too hard, because it could also, like, yeah, as I said, it can make you go bankrupt as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. You accept failure on yourself, but is it also different? And I know I never had really a team working for me or with me. Um, but if a team member of you fails on something, do you then also approach that with that mindset, or does it still feel different?
Obviously, you don't like your team failing, that's for sure. Um, but yeah, listen. What I find the most important thing is um, that you learn from your mistakes,
Hmm.
and that you're open and keen to develop yourself, being a better person, being better in your job, being a better manager, and just growing. And
Hmm.
um, I would get very upset with people that keep on failing in the same way and don't
Right.
accept that
Repeating the
they're
same mistakes over and
right.
over again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but I think failing is the fastest and easiest way towards
Hmm.
growth. Yeah.
100%. Now, are you guys fully bootstrapped with DeltaWorks?
Yeah. Like we raised our first we did a seeds series in 2015. We did an A series in 2000. 16, and then I think we raised already over no, and then we did another raise at the beginning of this year. So I think now we're on a total of 1.8 million in fundraising, not all
Okay.
in not all in equity, so also in like in different types of money raising. So,
Hmm.
um, but yeah, we are fully.
Did you feel then some type of pressure from the new stakeholders then regarding the sales performance?
Yeah, but there is nothing wrong with that. I mean, like, people invest a lot of money and take huge risks because they believe in you, and because you sold them a story, a dream. But then you also have to do everything about it to accomplish that dream. And
Hmm.
what I want to add to that is, and like I had a conversation about it about this not so long ago with someone asking me, like, a board of directors where your investors are in, etc., etc., like, what is the role of a board of directors? And I strongly believe that the moment that an investor invests money in you and takes an active role as a board member, then they also take on part of the responsibility to make sure that you're successful, and they're
Hmm.
and that's their task to to keep us to keep us fresh, but also to come with ideas and to come with solutions, or at least be part of finding those solutions.
Yeah, and that fits the quote you said earlier, and I've written it down because I really liked it. You're not able to share. If you're not able to share, you're not able to multiply. You said
Exactly.
something like that, and I
Yeah.
can see this being projected here again. All right, but then one of the last questions I have to ask you is, what are then the future ambitions of Deltaworx? Because 2015, 16 are quite some years ago. I can imagine, you're still not done with pursuing some growth. So, what are the future aspirations for Deltaworx?
Well, mainly we just have a growth goal for the next 5 to 10 years, which is which is pretty clear, in terms of how big we want to grow, and what market share we want to take. I think um, we will keep on focusing on the Belgian market. We're very active in Flanders, so I think the French-speaking parts um, is let's say a market that we want to get in at some point as well. Um,
Yeah, you prefer the French-speaking region of Belgium instead of the Netherlands?
100%, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Um, and basically, and especially in terms of legislation as well. We're in staffing.
Mm,
French speaking part in Belgium is same legislation as the Dutch
okay, makes
speaking or
sense.
Flemish, and where Holland is just it's another country, another market. Of course, the Wallonie is also another market, but it's on the same
Playground,
playground
yeah.
and play rules. Um, yeah. Um, so
All
yeah.
right. Yeah, no. I can see that. All right. Well, thank you, Jeroen. Jeroen, if people want to find out more about you, about Deltaworx, where would you like to send them?
Yeah, so obviously they can contact me directly through LinkedIn or Instagram, um, uh, and if they want to learn more about our company or about Deltaworx, they can go to our website or also our LinkedIn page, deltaworx.eu.
All right. Awesome. Well, Jeroen, I have one last question for you, a question I ask every guest on the show. And I think it's going to be interesting in your case because you kind of have a personal brand. And so the question goes as follow. If Jeroen would be a brand, what would it stand for?
um, I If people ask me why I do what I do, I have three main drivers, and I'm gonna share them in the precise order of importance. So number one is making impact. Um, so that was also when I received notice that I'm in the Forbes under 30 list in the category social impact. It was for me the biggest achievement so far. I love making impact, both both internally on our team, but definitely also towards our student community in Belgium. So that's one thing. Having fun is extremely important as well, and then um, making cash. We don't need to be shy about it. We are not a non-profit organization. We are a private
100%,
company.
you can say that.
We want to make money. So those are my three main drivers. But I think my personal brand, I've always tried to making impact. I think that's the main
Yeah.
driver.
Yeah, I like that. You make impact while having fun. That still generates some cash.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeroen, for being on the show.
Thanks,
I
Dylan,
wish you
for having me.
nothing but the best and catch you next time.
You as well. Thanks, Dylan. Bye.
Bye bye. Kunt je nog even wachten?